Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative Seed Homecoming Ceremony. Yes, we're all here for this very important ceremony, and the seeds we're celebrating today represent decades of collaboration between the World Vegetable Center and ASEAN countries. Many of these seeds that might have been lost in their countries of origins were actually collected and exchanged long time ago and have been very carefully preserved, regenerated, and safeguarded at the center's headquarters here in Taiwan ever since. And by returning the seeds to their mother countries, we're also sharing the knowledge we learned through years and years of research that could be turned into one of the keys to improving global crop biodiversity and agricultural resilience against climate change. Yes, we're all faced with different kinds of challenges brought by climate change, and having sustainable agricultural systems really matters. And that is exactly what we do and why we do here with this Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative. That is to build a functional multinational collaboration platform that brings together public and private sector efforts. I think we have every confidence to say that this initiative has paved the way for stronger partnerships and further collaboration in bringing in a more diverse and a more sustainable future. And now to begin, we have a video for you to share with you some important milestones and achievements of the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative. Let's have a look.
In a world facing climate change, rapid urbanization, high levels of malnutrition, and declining biodiversity, the preservation of vegetable diversity has never been more critical. World Vegetable Center, home to the world's largest international collection of vegetable seeds, safeguards 60,000 accessions of more than 400 species, each representing a unique crop variety or wild population of a vegetable species. For over 50 years, the center has facilitated the sharing of more than 1.2 million seed samples, conserving and sharing these vital genetic resources. Between 1983 and 2005, we conducted germplasm collection projects across ASEAN countries, including Laos, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Bangladesh. As threats to traditional vegetables and local crop varieties grow, we must do more to protect this diversity. In 2022, Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs supported the launch of the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative, Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative to rescue Asia's vegetable biodiversity. Working with national gene banks in the Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam, we are recovering neglected varieties and restoring them to their native lands. Working with the Taiwan Agriculture Research Institute and the Taiwan seed sector, we are strengthening Taiwan's capacity to protect and use this genetic diversity. Together, we are studying these varieties' characteristics, enabling them to be used in breeding programs and climate change resilience research after being returned to their home countries. Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative is creating a platform that connects Southeast Asian gene banks with international institutions, enhancing capacity through training, collaboration, and resource sharing. The initiative ensures the repatriation of valuable seed varieties, protecting the genetic diversity of our region. Isolation is a thing of the past. Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative is establishing a new model of cooperation, uniting countries, scientists, and farmers. Through partnerships in the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia, we are setting a standard for biodiversity conservation and germplasm exchange. The network brings together Asian national gene banks, the World Vegetable Center, Taiwan's Ministry of Agriculture-affiliated institutions, universities, seed companies, and the Global Crop Diversity Trust, building a robust framework for safeguarding and utilizing genetic resources. Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative is not only about preserving the past, it's about securing a sustainable future. As climate change threatens global agriculture, the genetic diversity we protect becomes crucial for resilience and adaptation. As malnutrition undermines people's health, livelihoods, and aspirations, the hidden gems in this collection will provide solutions for better food and nutrition. Through Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative, we are embracing a new era of partnership to face the challenges of climate change together. By sharing resources, knowledge, and expertise. We are shaping a collaborative model that will ensure Asia's invaluable germplasm is safeguarded for generations. With your support, the seeds we protect today will be the foundation of tomorrow's food security.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's firstly give this Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative and our collected efforts a big round of applause. We thank to our partnering countries, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand, for working so closely with us to make this initiative possible. Thank you so much. And now, to give you the opening remark, ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me firstly in welcoming Deputy Minister Zhong Guangtian, Foreign Affairs, to the stage. Let's welcome Deputy Minister Tian.
I need my glasses. Age is catching up. However, Dr. Marco Waparis, Director General of the World Vegetable Center, honorable representatives, excellency ambassadors, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to you all. It is indeed a pleasure to join you for this seed homecoming ceremony, part of the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative, launched by the World Vegetable Center. And on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Republic of China, Taiwan, I commend the World Vegetable Center for its diligence and would like to extend my congratulations for this achievement of these initiatives. Vegetable biodiversity is a pillar of our food security. It contributes to climate change resilience and the health and nutrition of the people worldwide. And this biodiversity is, however, threatened because of the rapid urbanization and homogenization of the diet across the globe, including in Asia. Traditional Asian vegetables and other seeds are at risk. Unfortunately, because of the World Vegetable Center began to preserve vegetable genetic resources collected in Southeast Asian nations over 30 years ago. In 2022, it launched Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiatives. The goal is to strengthen international collaboration by linking the gene banks of the World Vegetable Center, Taiwan, and the Southeast Asian countries. And this would help to safeguard the vegetable biodiversity in Asia and enhance the climate resilience of the food production. Also, under the initiative, seeds are being reintroduced to their home countries of origin so that experts and farmers in Southeast Asia can employ the precious genetic resources to feed the people. MOFA, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Ministry of Agriculture are very honored to be partnering with the World Vegetable Center to advance this initiative. By pairing ancient seeds with modern cultivation techniques, we aim to develop a commercial variety that have traits crucial to climate change adaptation, such as being drought and flood tolerance. And Taiwan, as a founding member and the host country for World Vegetable Center, values its long-standing partnership with all the countries represented here today. Looking ahead, MOFA will continue to support smart agricultural programs in line with our integrated diplomacy approach. And working with the like-minded countries, partners, we will overcome the challenges to food security amid climate change. Together, we can create a healthier and more prosperous world. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Deputy Minister Zhong Guangtian of Foreign Affairs, ROC Taiwan, for your remarks. Thank you. You may return to your seats. And just like Deputy Minister Tian just said, by working very closely with our partners, we're going to definitely take this initiative even further, bringing prosperity and vegetable biodiversity to more people. Thank you once again to Deputy Minister Tian. Next, we'd like to welcome Dr. Marco Wopereis, Director General of World Vegetable Center, to also share a few words with us on the stage. Please welcome Director General Wopereis.
Honorable Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Chen, distinguished representatives of ASEAN countries and Taiwan represented here, distinguished guest, Dajia Zhao An. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's a great pleasure to say a few words at this momentous occasion where we will witness the symbolic handing over of seeds of a very large range of varieties on their way home. In the 1990s, a visionary woman from the Philippines, Dr. Engle, and head of the WorldVeg Gene Bank here in Taiwan at the time, had the foresight to start collecting vegetable germplasm in Southeast Asia. She contacted her counterparts in 10 countries and got work underway shortly afterwards. And now, some 30 years later, we only start to understand the importance of that visionary initiative. As the Honorable Deputy Minister just said, because of climate change, changing consumer preferences for highly processed, let's face it, unhealthy food, and industrialization and urbanization, biodiversity around the world is threatened. This is particularly true for the vegetable food group, which boasts a huge diversity of species. More than 1,000, can you imagine that? More than 1,000 species can be consumed and are or have been cultivated or collected from the wild around the world. Vegetable diversity can be seen as a treasure box for current and future generations to be able to produce and consume nutritious food now and into the future. This diversity represents a crucial foundation for breeding better varieties for changing climates and palettes in Asia and around the world. And Southeast Asia is special because it's a global hotspot of vegetable biodiversity with many local varieties that are at risk to be lost. So the work Dr. Engle and partners in these 10 Southeast Asian countries did in the 1990s was extremely important. Many of the accessions they collected are going to be very hard to find now. Honorable Deputy Minister, distinguished guests, today we witness the return of seed collected by Dr. Engle and partners to their home countries. This is clearly a reason to celebrate. Let's give ourselves a big hand. Yeah. However, it should also be seen as a wake-up call for all of us. During the UN Food Systems Summit in 2021, WorldVeg and partners already rang the alarm bell about rapidly declining fruit and vegetable biodiversity around the world, and we have been raising awareness ever since. So we really need to start collection missions before it's too late. We need to copy, if you like, Dr. Engle's visionary actions conducted 30 years ago and start doing similar work now. And we should not stop at just collecting seed and putting them in freezers. We must characterize the seed for particular important traits to be able to use them. If you don't know what the potential of a seed is, you can't use them. We need to characterize these seeds. And then we can either directly use them in farmers' fields or in breeding programs. Important traits include resistance and tolerance to a range of abiotic and biotic factors that are becoming more prominent because of climate change. Heat, drought, flooding, and pest and disease pressure. And we not only should characterize these seeds for agronomic qualities, we should also look at the nutritional and health qualities of these seeds, because some of these traditional vegetables are truly nutritional powerhouses. Honorable Deputy Minister, distinguished guests, we really need to unlock the treasure box that represents vegetable diversity around the world, and we must all work together to make sure this treasure box is not shrinking in size as we speak. Lots of work needs to be done. The World Vegetable Center has taken a lead role in the rescue of vegetable biodiversity since the 2021 UN Food Systems Summit I just talked about. And we have received tremendous support of the government of Taiwan in doing so. Let me take you to Africa for a moment. Earlier this year, the African Vegetable Biodiversity Rescue Plan, Africa Vegetable Biodiversity Rescue Plan, a mouthful, was officially launched in Kigali, Rwanda, as part of the Taiwan-Africa Vegetable Initiative, funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Agriculture of Taiwan. This plan aims to collect vegetable biodiversity in at least 7 hotspots in Africa. And it was officially endorsed by the African Union Commission during its General Assembly in April earlier this year in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. It has therefore African ownership, which is extremely important. And the price tag of this rescue plan in Africa is $125 million for 10 years. 10 years effort, $125 million. We are now actively raising funds for this very important undertaking on the African continent. During the recent World Food Prize, BOROC World Food Prize dialogue in October in Iowa in the United States, WorldVeg was able to organize a breakout event in the main program to raise greater awareness about the Africa Vegetable Biodiversity Rescue Plan and about the need to do similar work elsewhere in the world. And I'm coming back to Asia now, obviously. We particularly highlighted also in that event in the US the need to repeat and expand Dr. Engler's and her partners' mission and further strengthen the rescue, conservation, and use of vegetable biodiversity in Southeast Asia. Honorable Deputy Minister, distinguished guests, there are still many collection gaps. And the vegetable biodiversity that we are conserving is not characterized and used to its full potential. Later this week, many of you gathered here will convene at our headquarters in Changhua to discuss a Southeast Asian vegetable biodiversity rescue plan analog to its African equivalent. Let me end by expressing my sincere gratitude to the Taiwan Ministry of Foreign Affairs for funding the TASVI project that has enabled the homecoming of seeds collected some 30 years ago. And I sincerely hope that today serves as a wake-up call for all of us and that it marks the start of a massive multinational effort to rescue, conserve, and use vegetable biodiversity to the benefit of current and future generations in Southeast Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Director General Marco Woperais of World Vegetable Center. And just like Director General Woperais just said, this is a moment not only to celebrate, but also to take more action, a lot more to be done. So for that, we cannot do it alone. We need more partners here to join force in making this possible. Thank you once again to Director General Woperais. And next, we'd like to hear from our distinguished representatives from ASEAN countries. Firstly, please welcome Representative Asnifa Ghani from Malaysian Friendship and Trade Center to the stage. Let's welcome Representative Ghani.
Ambassador Tian Chun-Kwang, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Taiwan, Dr. Marco Woperais, Director General of the World Vegetable Center, I recognize representatives from Southeast Asian countries, as well as India, Japan, Republic of Korea. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Selamat Sejahtera, good morning, Tachahao.
Oh,
It is a privilege to be here in the company of everyone at this very important event. I extend my sincere appreciation to the World Vegetable Center, Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and all collaborators for their dedication to the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative. This initiative demonstrates the power of collective action in protecting and regenerating crop genetic diversity. The seeds we receive today are more than genetic material. They are a symbol of resilience and collaboration. For Malaysia, they provide an opportunity to strengthen our agricultural sector by equipping farmers and researchers with valuable resources to address climate change and promote sustainable practices. By combining advanced research and shared practice, TASV offers a pathway to preserve biodiversity and enhance food security. Malaysia remains fully committed to utilizing these regenerated seeds effectively, ensuring they contribute to the well-being of our communities and agricultural progress. Thank you for this opportunity, and let us continue to cultivate sustainability and resilience in agriculture through meaningful partnerships. Terima kasih. Thank you. 谢谢大家.
thank you very much to Representative Asniva Ghani, Malaysian Friendship and Trade Center, for your remark. Yes, our collective action, our collective commitment, and our collective efforts really make a difference. Thank you so much to Representative Ghani. And next, we'd like to welcome Irene Tan, Director for Administration and Development Cooperation, Manila Economic and Cultural Office, to the stage. Let's welcome Director Tan.
Mic is open. Honorable Tian Chongquang, Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Dr. Marco Wolperis, Director General of the World Vegetable Center. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Tao An.
Zao.
I want to express my deepest gratitude to the World Vegetable Center and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for this incredible effort. Seeds are more than just plants. They represent the lifeblood of the ecosystem. And they were once part of and a commitment to the preservation of biodiversity for future generations. In the Philippines, that has experienced a series of typhoons lately and even drought, climate change, deforestation, and habitat destruction have threatened the very ecosystem that have nourished life for millennia. And the world faces the challenge of lost genetic resources and disappearing plant varieties. And through the project of the World Vegetable Center, the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative, we are actually taking action to create a more sustainable and harmonious future. We're actively investing in the planet's resilience and ensuring the future generations will have the opportunity to enjoy the beauty and bounty of nature. The Seed Homecoming is a shared mission of environmental stewardship where everybody has our part. It is an act which is a powerful symbol of collective responsibility we all bear to protect, preserve, and nurture the world around us. And the Philippines is very thankful for this initiative. So thank you very much, and mabuhay.
Thank you very much to Director Irene Tan from Manila Economic and Cultural Office. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, next is the handover ceremony that we all been waiting for. Just before we do, some of you might have noticed that the flower on the podium is very different. Yes, you can see chilies, you can see bell peppers, you can see tomatoes there in the flower. They are real, okay? All right. So now for the handover ceremony, to once again, by returning the invaluable crops and seeds to their home countries, we'd like to push forward sustainable agriculture and climate resilience. All right? And now for the handover ceremony, we'd like to firstly welcome back once again the representative Asnifa Ghani from Malaysian Friendship and Trade Center to the stage. Would you please join us once again on the stage? Yes? Let's give her a big round of applause. And next, we'd like to welcome Director Irene Tan for Administration and Development Cooperation from Manila Economic and Cultural Office. Once again to the stage. Let's welcome her. And also joining us for the ceremony, we'd like to welcome from Vietnam, Mr. Minh Thien Pham, Assistant Head of Chief of Science and Technology Division, Vietnam Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei. Please welcome him. And next, Dr. Chuchamas Kanchana Udongkang, Director of Tropical Vegetable Research Center. Please welcome her. And Deputy Minister Zhong Guangtian of Foreign Affairs, ROC Taiwan, once again, please join us on the stage. Please welcome him. And of course, Director General Marco Wilperais of the World Vegetable Center. Please welcome him again to the stage. Yes, and just before the handover, we want to make sure all these seeds are safe and sound, very healthy. So we are passing all these watering cans to our distinguished guests on the stage. Just before we send them back to their mother countries, we want you to pour water into the seeds to nurture the seeds once again by the count of 3, all right? Okay, by the count of 3. Okay, everybody, you ready? Let's count down. 3, 2, 1. Please pour the water and water these seed treasure boxes for global crop biodiversity and sustainable agriculture. And we're celebrating the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please stay with us on the stage for another group photo, all right? And now you may stand maybe a little bit closer to each other. Yes, in front of our seed treasure boxes. Let's have another round of group photo. Please look at the cameras in front of you. Firstly, to the cameras in front of you. 3, 2, 1. And now to your right, all right? 3, 2, 1. To your left, okay? To your left, 3, 2, 1. Okay, back to the middle once again, all right? 3, 2, 1. Yes, thumbs up. All right, 3, 2, 1. Please give them another big round of applause. Thank you so much. Can I have Deputy Minister Tien and Director General Wilperais and Representative Ghani, would you please remain with us on the stage? And Director Tan and Mr. Pham and Dr. Udongkang, please wait on the side and wait for your turns of handover of seats. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now firstly, to hand the seats over to Malaysia, we'd like to have Deputy Minister Tien hand the seats over to Representative Ghani on behalf of Malaysia. And to witness this moment, we have Dr. Marco Wilperais on the stage. Now, Deputy Minister Tien, would you please hand the seats over to Representative Asnifa Ghani, Malaysian Friendship and Trade Center on behalf of Malaysia. And let's have a photo together. Thank you very much to Representative Ghani. Thank you. Representative Ghani, you may return to your seats and wait on the side. Thank you. And Director General Wilperais and Deputy Minister Tien, would you please remain on the stage? Next, to hand the seats over to the Philippines, we'd like to welcome back once again Director Irene Tan of Manila Economic and Cultural Office to the center of the stage. And Deputy Minister Tien, would you please hand the seats over to Director Irene Tan on behalf of the Philippines? Let's have a photo together. Thank you so much to Director Tan. Please join us on the side of the stage. Thank you. All right. And the next to Vietnam, we're going to have Dr. Wolperice hand the seats over to our representative from Vietnam, all right? And to witness this moment, we have Deputy Minister Tien here on the stage, and we are going to have Chief Minh Thiem Pham of Vietnam Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei. All right, Dr. Wolperice, please hand over the seats to Chief Minh Thiem Pham on behalf of Vietnam. Thank you so much to Mr. Pham. Please wait on the side. We are going to have another round of group photo at the end of this ceremony. Thank you. Lastly, to Thailand, we would like to welcome Director Chochamas Kachana Udonka of Tropical Vegetable Research Center to join us at the center of the stage, and for Director General Wolperice to hand the seats over to Director Chochamas Kanacha Udonkang on behalf of Thailand and witnessed by Deputy Minister Tien. All right, now can I have everybody back to the stage one more time and bring your seed treasure boxes, and we're going to have another round of group photo, all right? Director Udonkang, yes, please stay with us on the stage. Yes, this is a very important and also a rare moment, really worth a lot of celebration. So we're going to take as many pictures as possible, all right? Okay, so show us the seed treasure boxes, and everybody, please look at the cameras in front of you. Everybody, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's do one more photo. You know what to do, thumbs up. All right, we love to do that, yes. 3, 2, 1. Okay, please give them another big round of applause. Thank you so much. You may return to your seats. Thank you. And of course, this ceremony and this initiative is not possible without all your participation and support. So after our distinguished guests return to the seats, we would like to do one last group photo, and for that, we'd like to have our photographer come up to the stage and take a photo of all of you joining us for the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative Seed Homecoming ceremony today. So everybody, please look at our photographer on the stage, all right? Okay, a big smile, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And one more photo, do whatever you want to do, all right? Thumbs up maybe, okay? Okay, 3, 2, 1. And give yourselves another big round of applause, all right? Okay, that's it for the handover ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a coffee break from here. We're going to do it for 30 minutes, and we'll be back by 10:30. We'll be back by 10:30 for the panel discussion, all right? We have refreshments, coffee, and tea in the back. Please help yourselves. We'll be back by 10:30. Thank you.
hawakan yan. Ayun o, fresh oh. Oh. Diba? Fresh na fresh.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next session will begin in 3 minutes. Feel free to bring your food back to your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin our next session panel discussion. So feel free to bring your food, your coffee, and tea back to your seats right now. Thank you. Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We now move on to the panel discussion, strengthening public-private sector partnerships to promote the conservation, restoration, and sustainable use of global crop germplasm diversity. And to open the session, please firstly join me in welcoming your moderator, our very own Dr. Rowena Maxwell, scientist for Plant Pathology World Vegetable Center. Yes, over to you. Yes.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome. I am pleased to welcome you all to this section for the panel discussion to rescue, conserve, and use vegetable biodiversity. As the moderator told, my name is Lorena Maxwell. I'm a scientist, plant pathologist at the World Vegetable Center, and I'm truly honored to be able to bring with our distinguished guests a discussion on partnerships. Vegetable biodiversity is essential for enhancing climate resilience, ensuring balanced diet, and reduce malnutrition worldwide. It also offers significant income and livelihood opportunities, particularly for women and youth. However, without the long-term conservation efforts, vegetable land races and their wild relatives are at risk to be lost forever. So in this session, we will focus specifically on vegetable and how important partnerships are to rescue a more nutritious and resilient future. So before we start, I would like to ask you a few questions. So can we open the Menti? So can you scan with your phone the QR code and answer the first question? How much do you know about this topic? Because we're going to be talking about partnership. So I want to know how much you know about this topic. Oh, we have experts. I know it's Martin and few others making bias my rescue. Okay. Good, I think moderate. If you know, please don't be shy. It's important. I think our panel discussion, we enhance our knowledge about vegetable biodiversity. So let's, everybody answer the first question? Okay, so let's go to the second question. If you pay attention, Marco already shared some hints, but I want to know your answer. How many vegetable species do you think we have on this planet?
Let's see if people listen to me.
Okay. Do you all eat 1,000 species? Just kidding. Okay, some people were not in the room when Marco was talking. Okay, let's see. I will not reveal the answer because we will talk later about it. So let's go, if everybody already answered, let's go to our last question. What's your favorite vegetable? Oh, spicy. Wow. Cucumber, bitter gourd, okra, kale. I like kale. Moringa, carrot, tomato, broccoli. A lot of diversity just in this room. And we hope the next generation can also continue to eat all our favorite vegetables. So eggplant seems very popular, tomato, broccoli, cabbage, kangkong. I don't know this vegetable, maybe a different name. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for learning about your favorite vegetable. So to begin our panel discussion, we will start with a keynote presentation to share why we need to rescue, conserve, and use vegetable biodiversity. For this, I would like to invite my colleague, Dr. Martin van Zonneveld. He's the head of genetic resource at World Vegetable Center. Martin is responsible for the International Vegetable Gene Bank, which is located in our campus in Shanghai, Tainan, here in Taiwan. And before joining WorldVeg, he worked as a scientist in plant genetic resources at Biodiversity International and has over 17 years of experience working in different countries in America, Africa, and Asia. Please join me in welcome Martin.
Thank you so much, Lorena. And yeah, these chili peppers are real. Thank you. So what is at stake? We face a global problem with climate change, the triple burden of malnutrition and biodiversity loss. But it's a problem that we can overcome. And vegetables should be a major part of the solution because they check all the boxes. Today, 2.3 billion people cannot afford, or 2.8 billion people cannot afford a healthy diet. So that's 1/3 of the human population, imagine. So getting nutritious vegetables in school and home meals is key for healthy lives and futures. Then countries struggle with huge levels of unemployment. So safe vegetable production and trade are huge employment and income generators, and with a high potential, especially for women and youth. And then 3.3 billion, more than a third of the population of the human population, more than 3.3 billion people today are vulnerable to climate change, and that number will only increase in the future, unfortunately. And vegetables are key to nourish a warming world. Why? Because they offer a wide diversity of species and varieties that people can grow in hot, dry, flooded, and other climate stress environments. Because vegetables can be integrated into existing farming systems because they often have short rotations or require small space. And it pays off to diversify farming systems with vegetables for climate adaptation because many are high value. So vegetables have a huge potential to make food systems healthy and climate resilient. But we need to secure the base. We need to preserve the cultivated and wild vegetable varieties that are maintained locally by farmers and in national parks, because these are the building blocks to develop new varieties adapted to changing climates and changing palates. Okay, we now know all that more than 1,000 there are more than 1,000 vegetable species documented worldwide, but maybe you also realize that less than 10% of gene bank accessions globally are just vegetables. So what does it mean? There's a huge conservation gap because we have so many vegetable species and so little of these vegetable species conserved in gene banks. And vegetable biodiversity in the fields is declining rapidly because of diet homogenization, urbanization, and other threats. So we must save all those beautiful varieties before they're lost forever. So in 2021, World Vegetable Center and partners called for a global rescue plan as part of a UN Food Systems Summit paper. And Southeast Asia is a priority region in that rescue plan because it's a global hotspot of vegetables because of the high number of native species and also the many varieties. If you go to wet markets in Taiwan, Vietnam, in other Southeast Asian countries, you see still this huge diversity. Still, correct? Because it's declining. So you see all these bars here. Maybe we can have a look at the green bars. You see that in Southeast Asia is probably the highest, no? That means the highest number of native leafy vegetables here in Southeast Asia. And so it is with fruit, vegetables and others. And all the varieties that you can find in the different countries, the different islands, the different regions. So we have a huge task to preserve that vegetable heritage. So what is the role of WorldVeg International Vegetable Gene Bank in this? So a little bit of history, and you see this beautiful picture from the 70s in our gene bank. It started in 1972 with 592 accessions, and now it holds over 60,000 accessions, which sounds a lot, but still we have big conservation gaps. 12,000 are from Southeast Asia. Well, so there's still a lot to do. In the 90s and 2000s, the visionary woman scientist, Dr. Engle, one of my predecessors, she had the vision to start a regional effort with partners in 10 ASEAN countries to start conserving Southeast Asian vegetable biodiversity. And with the support of the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative, in 2024, we were able to send seed back of over 2,000 gene bank accessions of seed samples that were lost in gene banks in Thailand, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia. And further regional collaboration is needed to fill these conservation gaps because there are many regions and several countries where collections have not been done so far. And also very important to enhance the use and exchange, the exchange of seed between countries for climate change adaptation. So the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative has centered really around connecting, making connections, fostering international collaboration, but also fostering collaboration with the private seed sector, with the public seed sector, with universities. Earlier this year we had a highly successful international learning experience with over 50 participants from more than 23 countries, where we talk together about how we can better improve the conservation in seed banks, how we can multiply the seeds, because we have more than 1,000 species. Each species requires a different way to germinate a seed, to grow it, so that requires a lot of knowledge, and that requires that we need to share our knowledge, isn't it? We had already successful seed homecoming ceremonies organized in the Philippines, Thailand and Vietnam, besides our seed ceremony, beautiful seed ceremony here, of course. And in February, we also have the pleasure to have a final one in Malaysia. We also work extensively with the Taiwan seed sector, who supports us in multiplying the seeds. So actually we can send seed back to home, because only if we have sufficient seed, of course, we can send it home. And then in the next days, we will hold the International Symposium of Southeast Asian Vegetable Biodiversity to discuss a roadmap for the next 10 years, a vision how to rescue, conserve, and use vegetable biodiversity in Southeast Asia. So what is happening in other regions? WorldVeg also convened the development of an African vegetable biodiversity rescue plan, as you heard earlier today. It's a mouthful. And so far we have made quite progress there too. The plan was developed by more than 40 contributors from 20 African countries, so it's really developed in a partnership, just as we envision to do here in Southeast Asia. It has been supported by Taiwan government. It was endorsed by the African Union in April earlier this year. It was launched successfully at the Africa Food System Forum in Rwanda earlier this year. And it was praised in October during the World Food Prize event in Iowa. So these activities started with the Taiwan-Africa Vegetable Initiative in Africa. They were expanded to Southeast Asia with support of the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative, and now it's time to expand to a global rescue plan. So what are the next steps? First of all, to develop a Southeast Asian vegetable biodiversity rescue plan. And we will start the discussions in the next days after this beautiful ceremony this morning. And that rescue plan will provide us a roadmap for the next 10 years. That will help us to expand towards a global vegetable biodiversity rescue plan, building on our efforts in Africa and here in Southeast Asia. And the estimated investment required for that global rescue plan is $25 million per year for the next 10 years, $250 million overall. And then we have the privilege to discuss next March in Bellagio, which is a famous conference center, the implementation of the Global Rescue Plan with a small group of global thought leaders, including the 2024 World Food Prize laureate, Dr. Carrie Fowler, Special Envoy of Food Security of the US Department of State, and many other inspiring thought leaders around the world. And of course, we will continue fostering further collaboration in Southeast Asia and globally with our partners and with support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Taiwan government. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin, for setting the stage and allow us to understand a little bit about. So you can go to the stage, Martin, please. So now you all know there are more than 1,000 vegetable species, those who didn't hear Marco speak, because Martin emphasized very well, and yet we eat very limited amount. So now I want to invite our distinguished panelist guests. And first, I want to welcome our, while they put our seats. Okay. I want to welcome our first guest that is from our very special partner, the Global Crop Diversity Trust, Dr. Sarada Krishna. She is the Director of Programs at the Crop Trust based in Germany. She supervises a team of scientists and project managers and plays a key role in implementing strategic to safeguard agricultural biodiversity. Her research focuses on conservation and use of coffee genetic resources. So I know that in the future, everybody's going to continue to consume coffee with Sarada in charge. So I want to welcome Sarada. Martin, do you want to join? Yeah. So our next panelist is Sophia Chang. She is the Chief Investment Officer of Cathay Financial Holdings. She has been a prominent advocate for biodiversity conservation on international platforms. Under her leadership, Cathay Financial Holdings has actively participated in global biodiversity initiatives, including the World Biodiversity Summit during the 2024 New York Climate Week. So welcome, Sophia. So now let me invite Dr. Gerald Glenn Panganiban. He's the Director of the Bureau of Plant Industry in the Philippines, a key agent responsible for promoting plant health, agriculture innovation, and food security. He has extensive experience in plant breeding, crop management, and the development of agriculture policies that support sustainable practices and food security. Under his leadership, the BPI TAI has focused on advancing plant industry initiatives and strengthening the Philippines agriculture system through research and development. Welcome, Glenn. And final, my last panelist is Dr. Shu-Shin Lin, who currently serves as the Director General of the Taiwan Agriculture Research Institute, TARI, and he has been a driving force behind advancing agriculture innovation and sustainability in Taiwan. And under his leadership, TARI has actively contributed to the conservation and utilization of crop genetic resources, aiming at enhancing food security and climate resilience. Thank you all for joining us and for accepting to be part of our panel to discuss strengthening partnerships to promote the conservation, restoration, and sustainable use of global crop germplasm diversity. So to begin, I want to begin with Sarada, so we can talk a little bit about global partnerships. So why are partnerships so important to promote the conservation and use of vegetable biodiversity global? And who are the private, public, and society partners in this partnership?
Yeah, thank you, Lorena, for this important questions, and thank you all for being here today. It is a pleasure to join this important event of the TASVI, the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative. So, you know, to ensure conservation and use of vegetable and crop diversity, we need to look at 4 main pillars. The first one is we need to secure crop diversity, and that happens in gene banks. And so gene banks can be community seed banks. So from the bottom up, you can have community gene banks, and then you have national, regional, and international gene banks. And the main thing is we need to ensure that any seed that is conserved is also backed up and safety duplicated. Because like in Philippines, the typhoon happens, and if all the seed diversity is lost, if it's not safety backed up, we are going to lose that diversity. So there needs to a lot of collaboration. So a lot of partners are involved, from the local farmers who are conserving the seeds to international gene banks where it is safety backed up. And the second pillar is research and breeding. So breeding is needed to ensure that, I think Marco talked about the traits. We need to ensure that the traits of importance are conserved, and that it is available to producers. So through breeding programs, you develop, you enhance these traits for disease resistance, drought tolerance, heat tolerance, etc., and make it available. For this, you need national research institutes, universities, government organizations, gene banks, and the breeding program researchers. There needs to be collaboration and partnership. And here also the private sector can play a huge part, because breeding can be done through private sector actors. And then the third pillar is seed system and value chain development. Here also we need to work with different actors. So for seed systems, because to reach the farmer, if there is no formal seed system, it's going to be hard for farmers to get hold of these improved varieties of seeds. So the seed system actors can be also like informal seed systems also, where farmers can also do the conservation. And for market development, we need to ensure that throughout from producers, how does it reach consumers? So market development, also the private sector is a huge partner in market development. And we also need to do nutrition analysis of many of these vegetables, because a lot of that has not been done. So to promote to consumers, the nutritional value of these vegetables need to be conveyed. And then the final pillar is policy support. And for these, we need to ensure that national governments are engaged. And then we need to have enabling policies and regulations that is supportive of these diverse food systems. So throughout the value chain, we need to ensure that we are engaging with different partners from production, from seed system conservation to consumption. Many partners need to be involved.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your views on the global partnership. So we all involved. We are all somewhere in the value chain. So now I want to talk to Glenn about how partnerships can help advance the rescue and conservation. So can you share some examples from the Philippines of partnerships that successfully enhance the rescue, conservation, and use of vegetable biodiversity?
Okay, thank you, Lorena. And I'm very fortunate to be speaking after Sarada. She almost explained it all. I just like to compliment on partnerships. So she focused on the framework. So in the Philippines experience, yes, we do have partnerships with local governments first, because that's where the action happens. We have the smallest unit of administration in the country. We call it barangays. So we have that. We have the IIRR with us doing the community seed banking. Now we have a program, the urban agriculture program, wherein we really push for the production and consumption of these vegetables. Of course, you're talking about utilization. And of course, our partnerships with the World Vegetable Center, with the UP University of the Philippines, Institute of Plant Breeding, where the Marco said the expert from 30 years ago started. So it's an integration of efforts, really. After collaboration, we really need to put in the work. So we are very fortunate to work with the Department of Interior and local government, working with these barangays, the smallest units. Now we have partnerships with the Department of Health. We just signed a memorandum of understanding with them just last week to really push for the consumption of these vegetables, treating healthy food as your medicine. So those kinds of partnerships from the local government, from the national government, of course, policy-wise, we are pushing and encouraging for the registration of these seed varieties if they have not yet been registered. So that they would have the opportunity to be marketed. And I think the role of civil society and, of course, the general population in consuming these vegetables would also be crucial. Yeah, that's our experience.
Thank you so much, Glenn, for sharing these concrete examples. And I'm very proud to work at the World Vegetable Center and know that we are also great partners from the Philippines. So I want to now turn to Dr. Lin to learn how Taiwan can contribute to strengthen the vegetable biodiversity. So how can Taiwan contribute to strengthen, not just in the region, but also globally?
Yeah, thank you, Lorena. Well, our distinguished guests and also our scientists over here. I am very happy to have an opportunity to join this meeting. And you know that Taiwan, we have a plant genetic resources center located in the Tari in Taiwan, in the middle of the Taiwan. And this so-called gene bank was established about 31 years ago. And 30 more years ago, we cooperated with World Vegetable Center. At that time, our government has joined the training course. I am one of the students of during the training course. I think many, Dr. Yang, she's loving here, so also joined such kind of training course. And at that time, we start to establish our gene bank because our government say that because of the climate change and also for many reasons, the resilient use of the vegetable is very important. You know that previously our farmers, for example, my father is a farmer. He always breeding his own vegetable. Always every year harvest his own vegetable seeds. So most of our daily use, the vegetables are coming from abroad, not native to Taiwan, only some of them native in Taiwan. But because of for several years of the revolution and also the selection, like my father, the old farmers, you can find many the strength of the vegetables, become local varieties. But gradually, because of the seed company, and also it's convenient to get the seed, to purchase the seed from the seed company or the breeding companies, then the local varieties gradually disappear from the market. We are very worried about that because we are fight against the climate change. We need more resilient varieties. That's why we established the gene bank in Taiwan 31 years ago. And now the collections of our gene bank, we have 100,000 accessions. But the majority is the food, and also the upland crops. Just Marco has mentioned a little concerned about the vegetables. It's only about 20,000 accessions is vegetables. It's quite a lot, but compared to WorldVeg, it's only a small part. So we would like to cooperate with our private sectors, and also we also sign MOU with the other countries because most of these vegetable accessions came from the domestic and also from, for example, from South Asia countries. So I think it's very important. You mentioned that the gene bank is conserved here, and the breeding project has to be launched and to use the varieties and also the seed accessions and so on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lin, for sharing this perspective. And as you talk, I just remember that also in my country, I'm from Mozambique. I remember 20 years ago, I used to eat more traditional vegetables every day. My grandma will cook, but now almost it's just like 5 or 3 every week. And so I hope all the efforts you guys started 31 years ago, Taiwan can contribute for the region and globally, and hopefully in Africa and other countries. So now I want to turn to Sophia to learn a little bit how private investment can enhance the conservation of vegetable biodiversity. Although we all know the importance, still investment is important so we can all continue to conserve. So Cathay Financial Holdings have been leader in integrating ESGs into investment strategy and is well recognized for its climate actions. Biodiversity is an emerging topic. So how do you see the potential for this, for the private sector to contribute to biodiversity, such as for conservation of crop diversity?
Thank you. My name is Sophia Cheng. I'm the Chief Investment Officer of Cathay Financial Holdings. Cathay Financial Holdings is the largest financial group in Taiwan with more than $400 billion of assets, roughly 60% in insurance and 35% in banking. We also run the largest asset manager, second largest P&C insurance, and also we have a broker and a venture capital company. Myself is also the chair of Asia Investor Group on climate change. So we have been very active on climate actions and into water. But for biodiversity and nature, we are still quite new. We're very happy, willing to learn. And that's why today I'm here to learn. And we are also very keen to help different stakeholders can discuss and work together and find a solution. When I see the biodiversity, how corporate has done, a lot of projects that disclose in the CSR report are mostly to animal biodiversity. And I think the world is not just about animal. And we also have, besides US Center, we also have a very big botanic garden in Taiwan. They also help to preserve some plants and flowers. Some companies, they do show their information on supporting agriculture activities, like supporting organic rice planting, for example, and also few have done like regrowing the old crops. Beyond that, there is quite limited participation by the private sector, which I think it also means great opportunity. If we find the right people who share the same mission and value, this is an undeveloped area. And why the crop and fruits, vegetables are so important, because all the animals depend on the food, and the crop is very, very important basic for them. And with the world, we have 7 billion population moving toward 9 billion. Two basic things are essential. One is the availability of water and availability of food. So food security, nothing competes with that. But when we look at from 1991 to 2021, the 30 years, the world has accumulated almost 4 trillion of loss in the food system, and of which is roughly 123 billion a year, 45% in Asia. But if I compare with the scale of the economy for agriculture industry, the seriousness is the most serious in Africa. So you have emerging market, you have also Africa country, you also have the island countries, they suffer from climate change. How can they have better nutrition and better food and agriculture industry? That's very important. If I look into Asia, Asia also have an additional challenge. The climate change is making a big impact, where Asia also depends highly on high-emitting industry. Asia produces 50 to 70% of cement, steel, transportation fleet, and also chemicals. So how do we do climate change energy transition? At the meantime, support, improve the problem from improve the resilience from climate change. All these are very complicated. So for Cathay, ourselves, we try to focus on, are there something that can support the systemic thinking? How can we support the ecosystem rather than find 1 or 2 very shining projects as a joint effort? So it will take longer time for us to discuss with various stakeholders what you want to do. There's something linked to financial industry or linking to other industry that we can help to introduce. So from climate to water to biodiversity to nature-based solutions, if there's one advice I can suggest is from the success in climate and water-related projects, try to make 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and 5 successful cases. The more we have good cases, people will start to think about how to do more and how to make it bigger. And there will be a beginning of the accelerations.
Thank you for sharing this perspective. And you say you are not expert, but I learned so much. And I'm very glad you mentioned about, everybody talks about the animal biodiversity. It's very, very, very topic. And I think one of the cases was the white rhinoceros in Africa. So we need to also push for plants and mainly vegetable biodiversity. So I want to go back to Dr. Lin now to a link with the use, because I think as Sophia say, if we have a practical example and the use of this biodiversity will be important to showcase for the financial investment. So we all agree that rescue is important, but how can we also enhance the use of this vegetable biodiversity for breeders, scientists, farmers, and consumers? Can you share some experience?
Yeah, thank you. Because as I say, that the gene bank is for everybody, but we should have a system to use that. People can make application to the gene bank to apply for the seed. But it's only open for the public scientists and also university researchers and also private companies and also, but not for the individuals, because it's very seldom resources and also provided very limited. For example, only 25 seeds per each. It's very, but why to do? Because it's very, when we want to use this, the resources, and just like previous our say that there is some system we have to do. For example, in our system, we always transfer the seed to the farmer by the seed companies or farmers association like that. But for the breeding project, you need to do more. Because from the local variety or the wild species, they have disease resistance or resistant characteristics. But we have to incorporate all those characteristics to our commercialized varieties. And it takes a long time, more than 6 to 8 years. But how to do that? So we just offer those kinds of cooperate with universities or institutes or breeding companies. Then after they make the crossing between those accessions vegetables, and then we get the advanced varieties. Then we can release to the farmers such kinds of system. And we have already such kind of system already. But I think that the cooperation is very, very important because the international cooperation is also very important nowadays. And we cannot only use our domestic local varieties to fight against the climate change. This is what our experience. Because the vegetable seeds is, well, you can always release to the farmers by this way. Well, this is what my experience, also my opinion. And for example, we also work with the World Vegetable Centers for more than 30 years already. In the future, I think we have signed MOU already. In the future, we have to work more closely together. Another thing is the private sector. I know that the WorldVeg has already started the consortium. It's a very good idea. Previously, we do not have such kinds of system. I say that these genetic resources only used for scientific research, but we can promote to the private sectors. And since last year, MOFA gave us a project. So since last year, we have already cooperated with many our organizations in Taiwan, including the private sectors. And I hope in the future we can promote this not only our domestic country, and we can promote through the other countries the international cooperation. The last few years, through the TAVID project, we have also worked together with World Vegetable Center. So many years we have a demonstration. I remember it was held in Thailand, your regional center. We just give our varieties or breeding lines to show those companies and also farmers, and you can see how it is. It can grow in this field. It's very, very important. I think it's very important for the international cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you. And I can testify about the use because I'm a plant pathologist, so I work with disease, and a lot of research that WorldVeg did in collaboration with TARI, we identify a lot of resistant varieties that today are saving the tomato and pepper in many countries against very devastating disease. So the use is very clear. And thank you for all the partnership with WorldVeg. So I want to ask you, Glenn, your experience linking to impact. Because although I feel sometimes as a scientist, as people working, we develop a technology, we tell the importance, but how is really impacting for this better access to vegetable biodiversity? How is translating to improved livelihoods and more resilient system? Can you share some examples from the Philippines?
Yeah. Okay. Our main stakeholder is definitely the farmers. I think we can agree to that. And they are the ones that is most susceptible to what we have been discussing in the past few minutes, climate change. Philippines being one of 18 mega biodiverse countries worldwide, and I think we are 5th in plant species. So that goes both ways. We are diverse in that we can be adaptable. And as mentioned earlier, we've been hit by 3 typhoons for the past month. And if we are hit with that, it could be we could be washed away, or we could adapt. So I think the impact of having more biodiverse and the availability of many varieties of vegetables or plant species, we can benefit from that, the availability. For the access, that's another question, because the prices of seeds and planting materials nowadays have been rising because of not only of internal factors, but also global factors, logistics and all that. So that's number one, the impact on their being resilient. And you mentioned plant pathology. For pests and diseases, globally, we are losing 30 to 40% in plant pests and diseases. So if we have a more diverse source of planting materials, they could easily shift from one plant to another. On innovations, I think it has an impact also, because for us, we have innovated. For example, for like grafting technologies, we grafted tomato with eggplant to make it more resilient to diseases. So I think the products of this research and development directly impacts our farmers within the regions and in different parts of the Philippines. These innovations, and you've talked about youth earlier, we are pushing for urban agriculture. Half of our population is in cities and in these populous areas. So what we are pushing now, especially, I don't know if you've been to the Philippines, one city there is almost 1/4 of the national capital region, with millions of people living there. So if they can have access and these varieties are available, we can push for that. Nowadays, we are witnessing a lot of influencers. And I think that's one part of that program, the urban agriculture program, because some celebrities have been into it, some influencers, the popular politicians have been into it. So I think we are hitting that spot of that population or that we want to hit. Conventionally, or with the smart agriculture. And earlier, I'm very, very excited that the Taiwan government and the research institutions would support these kinds of initiatives, because that's, I think, what the youth can look forward to. Philippines, we are averaging 57 years old for our farmers, and I think it's time for really encouraging them, because who will be using these seeds and planting materials in the future, or collecting these if they don't have that interest? And maybe finally, Sarada mentioned earlier about conservation to consumption, and that's, I think, really what needs to happen. It's not really just saving these seeds, it's really utilizing it and then breeding it for better, improved varieties in the future and more resilient ones. So I think those are the impacts that really translates to not only the farmers in the rural areas that we serve, but even now in the urban areas wherein urban farmers are really growing.
Thank you for sharing this interesting perspective of the impact. So now I want to turn to Martin to share a little bit about the existing partnership between gene banks and the private sector. Can you give examples of public and private partnership to rescue, conserve, and utilize biodiversity of vegetables?
Thank you, Lorena. I'm just waving from the other side. Thank you, distinguished guests here on the panel, the audience. Yes, since 2018, the WorldVeg Gene Bank is collaborating with the Taiwan seed sector, Taiwan seed companies to rescue seed together. And this actually has intensified under the Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative to prepare seeds for distribution and to send back home. And also in collaboration with TARI. So we really appreciate that collaboration. So since 2018, seed companies in Taiwan have helped multiplying more than 3,000 accession seed. So what does it mean? They've helped safeguarding the seed because over time in our gene banks, the seeds little by little age, no, like we. Sorry. And eventually, well, they die. So we need to refresh the seeds now and then. And seed companies can help with us because, and in that way also contribute to conservation of genetic resources. It also helps to broaden the genetic basis of crop diversity in Taiwan. So it really helps sustaining food security. So that is a second benefit. Then it fulfills our curiosity. No? We are curious creatures now. So each accession may contain another hidden gem. And resistance to pests and disease, and beautiful color, a taste that we maybe reminds us back from our youth. And of course, as I mentioned, it helps long-term conservation and mutual learning because we learn from each other because, again, we have more than 1,000 species of vegetables, so we cannot, it's impossible to have all that knowledge on our own. And now we are also working overseas with a few seed companies in Southeast Asia. And we look forward to discuss with our partners, with national gene banks in the region to further foster this collaboration between custodians, the gene banks, community seed banks, who keep the seed, and users like seed companies, how we can strengthen collaboration for long-term conservation and use. So more than 3,000 accessions seed multiplied since 2018. That's a major achievement of these Taiwan seed companies, and I really think we need to recognize them. And this is, we call it an in-kind contribution. In-kind, it's like, okay, you don't put money on the table, but you say, okay, let's just roll off our sleeves and we do things together, which is really great. At the same time, in a gene bank, we need to take care of all our accessions, no? Including the ones that are of not direct use. All those species, remember, more than 1,000, and all those varieties that are not of direct use of seed companies and other users. So we also need to find a way how to multiply the seed of them before, the seed dies. No, we need to refresh the seed. And for that, we need basically funding. So yes, we have started a very successful partnership, public-private, for long-term conservation and use of vegetable diversity in Taiwan, expanding it to Southeast Asia with support Taiwan-Asia Vegetable Initiative. That requires further discussion with national gene banks and users in the region, but also a further discussion with the private seed sector to think about how we can really develop partnerships that meet both short-term and long-term goals with in-kind contribution, but also monetary support. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin, for your very well-detailed information, because I know you are passionate on the topic and you work on the topic, and identifying these missing gaps on this partnership is important, mainly the monetary and also the long-term goals. Okay, so I just checked the time. Actually, we have a couple of more minutes. I told my panelists, please be brief, but we're gonna have lunch at noon. So I will ask a few more questions, and maybe we can open to the audience for a few questions. So we wanna hear your questions or contributions about the topic. So I wanna ask Sarada, a strategic alignment with existing initiatives. So how TASV align with the current initiatives of Crop Trust?
Sure. Thanks, Lorena. So the Crop Trust was our mandate. Our global mandate is to ensure the conservation and use of crop diversity in perpetuity. And for that, the way we operate is we have an endowment fund. So we were established in 2004. This is our 20th anniversary. We were established by the UNFAO International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture. So we are the essential funding element of the treaty. And so we do that through an endowment fund. And the endowment fund is to provide funding to all the international gene banks, and once the endowment fund grows, even to national gene banks for the in perpetuity conservation of crop genetic resources. And we work now currently with national gene banks, and I know we have Laos is one of our partners, Vietnam, Bhutan, so we are working in Southeast Asia, as well as World Vegetable Center is one of our partners. And so we work with national gene banks through projects. And one of the projects that we are involved in is called the VAX initiative, which is the Vision for Adapted Crops and Soils, which is an initiative established by the US Department of State, and it is led by Dr. Carrie Fowler, one of the World Food Prize laureates this year. And under the VAX initiative, it focuses on the conservation, cultivation, and promotion of nutrient-rich, climate-resilient crops that include what we call opportunity crops, which is the nutritious and underutilized crops, and also a lot of vegetables fall under this. The VAX started in Africa, and they have a list of crops under the VAX initiative, of which many of them are vegetables. And I know Martin was involved in the selection of crops under the VAX initiative for Africa. So we are one of the implementing partners of the VAX initiative, along with the FAO, IFAD, and the CGIAR. And we have established what we call the Power of Diversity Funding Facility. And so to ensure that we get funds to implement this conservation and use of underutilized opportunity crops and vegetables. And so, the implementation, and so we are, through the funds, we aim to raise funds, not only for the implementation of all under the VAX initiative, but also the Global Vegetable Biodiversity Rescue Plan. So that is what our involvement is in promoting vegetables and underutilized crops.
Thank you for sharing that. So since we are talking about funds, I will turn to Sophia. Given Qatar's commitment to sustainability, what measures or initiatives do you believe will encourage more private companies to invest in projects that enhance agriculture, biodiversity, and resilience?
Thank you. If we look at annual climate finance available, that's about 660 billion, and of which roughly only 5% go to agriculture related. And if we look into venture capital funds, roughly only $1 or $5 go to climate finance. And then we talk about global public subsidy and for agriculture and fisheries by World Bank estimates, it's about 617 billion per year. We also have private funds, another 600 plus billion available for investment. So we can see various number over there. On the other hand, we have the research saying we need 7 times hundreds of billions of money needed for agriculture and conservation. We also have another talk that in 10 years' time, we will need over 10 trillion US dollars to tackle climate problems. So we have this much money, and we have this much money needs. But how did they find each other? Every project needs money. Are there ideas how private sector will be interested and be more devoting? We already see some successful cases in blended finance. For example, in Africa, we have the renewal bonds. The bonds return is based on how fast they regrow the number of rhino, that is so critical. The wild animal is very critical to Africa tourist industry. Or some blended finance helping a seashore and the coral reef to regrow them, especially after disaster. They also embedded with some insurance mechanism into that. So if I put a lot of these cases, financial institutions say, well, they are not at the scale yet. They are not bankable, they are not investable. But compare with 3 years ago when financial institutions are imagining what the problem may be. Today, people are complaining about the problem in this project. That means they are doing that. How can we make more projects? How can we pick some, make it much bigger scale, then people believe that it can start to leverage into private capital. So if I can give some thoughts how to get that traction, how to find people who can support us. Number one, we definitely need to make it relevant and make it easy to understand. A lot of times, if I have scientists come to me, I need 4 hours just to understand the basic knowledge. And I always ask for their patience. Please help me to help you. And understand what you try to say, and I can try to streamline into another language which doesn't violate your basic belief of knowledge, but make it understood by other stakeholders. And number two, we need to think through each stakeholder's concern. For example, the company, there's no way they can understand all the details. If I know every company, what they care, and what is their short-term, mid-term, long-term goal, then we have to spend some time, maybe 30% of the time exploring who may be, and I should keep most of the time with the corporate, the private sector, who share the same value, mission, and we can also understand each other's expectation to the others. Then I can focus time on corporate who are willing to learn, and they can also, even no money day one, but you say about inwards and contribution of time and knowledge, this with someone who helped me to make this project better, eventually can be more commercial. So we don't have only based on donation. Yeah. And then third one, start with willing partners and create a few successful cases. We need to demonstrate the benefit. Not every corporate look at monetary benefit. We also look at social benefit. We also look at benefit to environment. We also look at beyond Taiwan. Is this also applicable to other Asian countries? When I see good sample in America, Europe, how can we localize into Asia, into Taiwan? So a lot of dialogue, I think, is very important. And then direct and indirect contribution. For example, there are a lot of agriculture tech company. There's one Taiwan company called DataYu. They use the satellite data rather than the device in the farm now. So by AI analyze the satellite data, they can predict by when this farm should do what. Actually, not just farmers. 2 months ago, one financial institution in Indonesia subscribed their service. Because the farm is 3,000 hectares, there's no way I can send my bank department people there to analyze what is the potential production and therefore how much I should lend to this farmer, yeah? So they use this data as a supplement tool. So some of the project, we can go indirectly to this seedling company, seeds company, agriculture tech company, where from this return, similar to crop trust, your return from your endowment can be used as a donation and concessional capital. So we need to start with various stakeholders with the same belief. And we try to find a few cases suitable for A, suitable for B. Then we can start to differentiate. Does this need a donation subsidy? Does this need concessional? Does this need commercial? And beyond that, there's important part is governance. A lot of projects, I don't know who will do it. Can I ensure they walk their talk? Do I need a middleman who can help to make sure things happen? So making it try to as modularized, standardized as possible so you can have some quick win. And having some immediate agent to make sure it's well exercised. More project walk their talk, more confidence, more people willing to contribute.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you. Very fascinating insights. I think we have covered a lot of ground on the topic, and I believe the audience have few questions from what it was shared. So do we have a microphone to circulate? So now we have about 10 minutes for Q&A. And I want to ask, before you ask your question, can you please state your name, your affiliation, and whether your question is for a specific panelist or just for any of them? So there is someone with a question at the audience. We still have time. We have to wait. Lunch is at noon.
Okay, thank you. I think it's very information about your discussion. My name is Wendy Lee. I work for TARI, Taiwan Agricultural Research Institute. My question actually is quite simple because when we're talking about how to keep the vegetable diversity, we have the one idea to keep in the local place or local community. But unfortunately, for the farmer, local farmer, they always develop or grow crops for the money. So this may be the reason we lose the germplasm diversity in the local. But how we encourage the farmer, they keep the diversity and the local variety or such the open pollination seeds in the rural area. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think the question is open. So anyone who want to answer?
Yeah, I cook a lot. And I always want to find a new variety of ingredients, especially when I find some vegetable, which is I had when I was a child. Then I cook, my child don't like to eat. We need to build a food culture. It is okay to have wild diversity of different Italian cuisine, Southeast Asia cuisine, Japanese cuisine, it's fine. But because starting from school, their lunch diet, very limited varieties. And we don't spend a lot of time educate what they are. And then because we don't cook the vegetable and well, the kids always like meat. And then the parent always say you should drink milk. In fact, Taiwan, I think more than 70% people are sensitive to milk. Cheese may be better. Yeah, so we don't create a food culture and we don't take what kids eat serious. And so that's one that we need education from when they were a child. And second, yes, you are right. It's important farmers make a good living. But we do have some niche farmers, they make decent food for some specialized segment. I do have concern that in the whole supply chain, the middlemen take too much of the profit. So that's why people are working from farm to table. Then you can benefit this farmer more. We do need to examine, are there ways we can make the farmer earning more? Not every farmer is greedy. But if you look at, regardless how expensive we buy in the supermarket, the money doesn't really go to farmers. So finding the value chain of the whole supply chain, see can we shift a little bit of benefit to the farmers? I think that's also helping.
Maybe I can add to this too, because when new varieties come, farmers adopt the new varieties, so the old local land races are gone from the farmers' fields. So that's where the gene banks come in, because we need to ensure all those local land races are conserved in gene banks. And then with climate change, I think these local land races have this adaptability, and the repatriation that you're doing now is so significant because then it goes back to the farmers. So in one of our projects in Africa, a Seeds for Resilience project, we are working with 5 African countries, and part of it was user groups. And so some of the sorghum and varieties that has been conserved local land races in the gene banks, they were put on farmer trials, and the farmers were asked to come and evaluate them to use them in their own farms. And some of the farmers, when they came back to the fields, the trials, they found some of the varieties that they have lost from their fields, but there have been some farmers remembered some of these varieties that they had cultivated in the past, and they requested those from the gene banks. So we need to ensure that gene banks are doing these farmer field evaluations and trials, so that way farmers, anything that they have lost from their fields, they can come back and retrieve them.
We have time.
A short response to that. It's connected with Ms. Lin for food. When I think the University of the Philippines pushed for the indigenous varieties for trees, I got one. I planted it. It withstood 2 years or 3 years of typhoon. It just fell down just this last typhoon. So it's really resilient, these indigenous varieties that we have. And I think it's for the government to really dialogue, not only with their main stakeholders, which are the farmers, but for those industries which have potential. In the Philippines now, real estate development is booming. And they are in the direction of planting these indigenous trees in their development. So we are now communicating with them on how to push this. Of course, upscaling of these would be another challenge. But once you have that opportunity open, I think it could be an opportunity also for the farmers who, in one way or another, are using these indigenous varieties anyway. So if they find that there's a market opportunity, as you've mentioned earlier, they're planting it for profit, maybe we can tweak it a bit, that thinking that there are other opportunities that they can also venture into.
Yeah, Dr. Lin?
Yeah, it's a good question from Dr. Lee. Because nowadays it's very gradually difficult to preserve the local race varieties from the farmer side. But I remember that the World Vegetable Center has promoted in the South Asia country, also in the Africa countries, they promote the school garden and also rooftop garden. And we work together with the World Vegetable scientists. We always discuss, but nowadays, the urbanization is becoming a trend of over the world, and also, and more than, 70–80% live in the urban areas. But in the urban area, you can have such kind of system, just like a school garden and also rooftop garden, just like this. But recently, I heard from the WorldVeg, they have just tried to promote the basket garden. Because you can use any boxes and also to do grow vegetables. And in such a case, it might be possible to preserve the local race of local varieties in this way. So the urbanization we have to face, and maybe we can encourage such kinds of promotion. That's what my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Martin?
Thank you. Yes, sorry, it's difficult to add, but to all these great answers. And thank you for the question. Yeah, so climate change adaptation. With climate change adaptation, we have to also adapt our farming systems and maybe also our diets. And there are several ways to adapt our farming systems to climate change. And if I remember, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs this morning also really referred to climate-smart agriculture. One way to do that is through diversification of farming systems. In that way, we can spread risk across different crops. We can incorporate new crops that are adapted to new climate conditions. And vegetables are really key for that, as I explained in my keynote. Because there's so much diversity, there are many traditional vegetables that can still grow under low input conditions, they're nutritious, short rotations, etc. So climate change is a threat, but it's also an opportunity to diversify farming systems. And from a supply side, we should really put diversification in our strategies, policy and implementation strategies, to diversify that and then connect to demand, for instance, through the school gardens, through the school meals, in World Vegetable Center in Africa, with support of the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Eswatini, but also Madagascar, Tanzania, Benin, and other countries. We are supporting schools to diversify school meals with traditional vegetables. And believe it or not, but the kids love it now. And connecting that to local producers who diversify their farming system. In that way, we create locally a system, a local food system, so to say, where we have diversified farming system for more healthy diets and more resilient to climate. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. So, does the audience have a question from what we discussed, or a comment about the topic, anything to share? Okay.
Thank you very much, and it's very good discussion. I would like, do I have to introduce myself again?
Yes,
okay.
your name, where you
Okay, my name is Dr. Chachamat Kanchana Urumkan from Kasetsat University. I would like to ask about the strengthening of the partnership. Like, we talk about, we would like to get the private sector to get involved into, the investment especially. How can you get the private sector to be involved? Because, the private sector, they want something from us usually. And in return, how can we give them, from your experience, how can you talk to them? Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. Please, we have time.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. I think it's always putting in mind what's in it for them. We partnered with one of the biggest malls in the Philippines. It's called Shoemart SM. You know that, Marco. It's one of the biggest chains of malls in the Philippines. And we did partner with them with their foundation because they would like to help the municipalities and cities within the areas of their malls for their customer service relationships or corporate social responsibility. So that's where we entered our partnership with them. So they have the foundation activities. We train their members of those foundations towards livelihood, and we did rooftop gardens on top of their malls, actually. So our what's in it for us on that point is we cannot, of course, we cannot sell in their supermarkets only growing on rooftops, but it would be the gateway for our urban farmers. I've been thinking that agriculture is slowly becoming urban. The future of agriculture is urban farming, I think. It could be because the agglomeration of urban areas is what, 60-70% now globally. So that's where we entered them, their locus, their scope. So partnerships with their foundations and who they support. I think it's one way of pushing for our objectives of sustainability. And I think there's like green points for them if they do these activities. So that definitely helped with partnering and strengthening. Second, on the regulation side of the government, we are the ones certifying the good agricultural practices for our farmers. So once they get that certification, we connect them with the private sector, and now our fill gap farmers are accessing their stores now, and they can be assured of the quality of their produce, the food safety of their produce. So both on the developmental side for the support for foundations and the regulation support, making sure that the quality of the produce being sold in their stores are safe and healthy. So yeah, could be.
Anyone would like to share?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and if I only would know No? But I think one thing which is, I think, always important to keep in mind, what are our goals, no? Who are the beneficiaries in the end? No? And then find common ground. So we want to promote healthy diets. We want to make sure that children in Southeast Asia, in Africa, everywhere, get good food. We want to really make sure that no child is stunted, no? So I think those, we want to have livelihoods, better livelihoods. So I think we always have to have that in mind when we look for partnerships, because if we don't, we have to risk that we start to look inwards, no? So what are the common goals between our gene banks, between our research institutes, with private sector, public sector? And those are probably around how to make sure that we ensure people having access to healthy diets, correct? How to make sure that farmers can get a better livelihoods. Now then we really have to also have an honest discussion about the cost now, because it is costly, no? So we need to have that honest discussion, but always with that end goal in mind, so that we can always find a common ground to discuss with each other. Maybe some others have something to add to that.
You know, conservation is the hardest to get industry to involve in, because the breeding and things like that, the private sector is very well attuned to that. But conservation, I mean, coming from research in coffee, I mean, if without coffee genetic resources, there was no coffee industry because of climate change. But it's still hard for us to get industry. So we have a program for coffee to ensure that the industry is supporting, and we are targeting industry with specialized, I think, crop-based funding strategies. So yes, it is a long road, but we need to get industry involved in the conservation, because you know, you don't see immediate benefit, but for coffee, a breeding program can take 25 years. Whereas vegetables, I think we can prove, I think it's a much shorter cycle. We can prove the benefit of what is being conserved in gene banks. And so I think we should capitalize on that and ensure that the industry is also supporting conservation.
Thank you, panelists, for answering the question. Thank you for asking the question, very good questions. I think we had a very stimulating discussion, and I believe we have gained valuable insights into the critical role of vegetable biodiversity and ensuring a sustainable future, and how we can strengthen these partnerships between public, private sector, and researchers. So now I want to conclude by inviting Martin to comment on the Bellagio meeting. I know you talk a little bit at the end of your slide, in the development of the roadmap for Southeast Asia, guided by the African biodiversity.
Oh, okay, thank you, Lorena. So Bellagio, that's in Italy. Apparently, I've never been there, but beautiful lake, apparently. It's also a famous center of convening, where many important initiatives around the world have been kickstarted. For instance, the CGIAR, maybe you are familiar with that. Oh, it's another acronym, but these are these international organizations like the International Rice Research Institute, the International Potato Center, the International Center of Maize and Wheat Improvement, and WorldVeg is also associated to that CGIAR, International Agricultural Research Center Consortium. That's a mouthful, but that initiative has been started in Bellagio, and so there have been many other important initiatives. And now we got the opportunity from the Rockefeller Foundation, from Bellagio, to gather 23 persons, so it's very limited and exclusive, international thought leaders, to discuss really how we can implement this global vegetable biodiversity rescue plan. How can we make all these ideas, these plans, a reality? No? So within that convening, we will talk about actually how to implement it, how to endorse it using simple language so that everyone can understand it now. Connected to an advocacy campaign and define the next steps. So the Bellagio convening is an important step towards really making that global vegetable biodiversity rescue plan a reality, but it's not the only step, correct? It's just one in several. And before that we have a very important task to do. And for many people, maybe all the people in the room, and that is to develop a Southeast Asian vegetable biodiversity rescue plan. Because this global vegetable biodiversity rescue plan is basically the sum of regional plans. We've started with the African rescue plan, and now in the next days we will start with discussing the outline for a Southeast Asian rescue plan, and we should develop that in the next month to have that ready before Bellagio in March. So that is a huge task, but we will make it. And then from Bellagio we will take it further on, and we will continue this journey with you to make this a reality. So does that respond to your question?
Yes, yes. So basically it's inviting everybody to partner with us in this roadmap to ensure we have a plan and to take to Bellagio in March. You take me there. I want to see the lake. Okay, so I want to ask someone to just take maybe my chair to conclude our discussion panel. I want to thank again very much my panelists for all the insights. I want to thank the audience for your question and participation. So can I have someone to just, okay. So I want to end with a question. So can we share the Menti? Yeah. Oh, thank you. Sorry, she put it upstairs. Thank you. I thought it will come down here. So I have a question. No, Sarada, you cannot answer this question because you will be biased. You will make my data. So I want to know if the panel convinced you. If so, what could your personal or your institutional engagement look like? With this panel, you can answer for each question if they convince you to do some of these actions. Okay, very good. Seems that you're convinced about the importance of vegetable biodiversity panel. So people also were convinced to prioritize this topic for funding. That's important. And then for the next meeting agenda is there, and people also want to continue learning more. Okay, the data is changing, but I feel like you guys did a very good job. I think everybody's interested in the topic. They see the importance. They want to prioritize for funding. They want to eat more vegetables. I want to eat the kangkong. I don't know what vegetable. Is spinach? Is water spinach? Oh, okay. Oh, so I think you guys did a wonderful job. Please help me give a clap of applause to our panelists. Thank you so much. I have one more question. You can leave your comments for us if you have any suggestion. And thank you for joining. We want to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Taiwan for supporting this initiative. And thank you.
Leafy vegetable you can see in the Jiayi city now is collecting the seeds at this season.
Okay.
You'll be quite proud. You can see.
Thank you. Actually, before I moved to Taiwan, I used to eat most of the vegetables in Africa, and I learned so much with the Taiwanese biodiversity. Now I eat different type of vegetable. So thank you so much for your comments. Thank you all for paying attention to our panel discussion. And with that, I want to end this panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Lorena. And let's give all the members of the panel another big round of applause for their valuable inputs. Thank you so much. Okay, and with that, we conclude today's ceremony and also panel discussion. It's time for lunch, all right? So we have lunch boxes ready in the back, and feel free to get one, and you can stay in this room and enjoy your lunch here. And we're going to join us for the symposium to be held in Tainan tomorrow. We have the shuttle buses ready for you. So just gather around outside of this room at 2:20. At 2:20 this afternoon. We'll take you there, okay? So if you're going to join us for the symposium in Tainan that starts from tomorrow, please gather outside of this room at 2:20 this afternoon. Enjoy your lunch and have a good day, everybody. Thank you.